It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. $200, that's how much it costs for the most expensive French fries in the world. We'll have what goes into making them get to that price point.
The sun already beating down across the 4 states, and now expansion of heat advisories. It's just going to be a scorcher to end the month of July. We've got the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And 3 McDonald County inmates have been recaptured. Stay with us, all that and more up next.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Breaking overnight, police in McDonald County arrest all 3 inmates who escaped from the McDonald County Detention Center on Saturday. Sheriff Rob Evenson says David Molina and Carmelo Burgos and Shantavion Thomas were taken into custody in Knoll without any injuries. All 3 are held on violent offenses. 3 men already charged with murder in the shooting death of a Southwest Missouri man are now indicted in connection with the Northeastern Oklahoma murder. Trey Ackerson, David Morris, and Lane Bronson are among 11 people now charged in connection with the kidnapping and death of Osage Nation resident Jolene Walker Campbell. Ackerson and Bronson are 2 of 4 suspects charged on Friday. Campbell's body was discovered in Mays County, Oklahoma in July of 2020. According to the indictment, the defendant suspected that Campbell was a federal informant. Prosecutors in Barton County, Missouri had already charged Morris, Ackerson, and Bronson for the shooting death of Terry Harless in Lamar, Missouri. That murder also occurred in July of last year. Authorities were called to a home on the 700 block of Broadway in Lamar, Missouri for a report of shots fired. When they arrived, they found Harless's body. The 3 suspects are charged with second-degree murder in connection with Harless's death. Missouri State Department of Education releases new guidance ahead of the upcoming school year. Many of the recommendations mirror those put out by the CDC earlier this month. They include promoting vaccinations, requiring masks for unvaccinated students, and social distancing. But largely, local districts will have the final say, including on how policies differ between vaccinated and unvaccinated students. The Berry County, Missouri Health Department is closed until further notice. A post on the department's Facebook page says it's due to an increase in COVID-19 cases. The county says WIC recipients will receive a call from department officials to complete their appointments. People seeking all other services should contact neighboring health departments. And those who want a COVID-19 test should contact their doctor or a neighboring health department. Arkansas, one of our nation's COVID-19 hotspots, is seeing an increase in numbers in vaccinations. On Friday, the state saw its highest single-day number of doses with 14,294. The previous high was set in May with more than 12,000 doses. A Little Rock pharmacist says she believes the increase in vaccinations is in response to an increase in cases.
I think a lot of people see, whether it's kids, whether it's friends, healthy adults that are being hospitalized.
Data from Johns Hopkins University shows Arkansas ranks 2nd in the country in new COVID-19 cases per capita over the past 2 weeks. Yesterday was the 31st anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, so a Nevada, Missouri organization is celebrating. On My Own Incorporated is an independent living center that helps people with disabilities. The organization hosted a lunch to celebrate the anniversary of the legislation that helps so many of their clients.
It is all about resources and sharing information, helping people find information in regards to maybe an adaptive device that may help them be more independent in their home.
Around 40 to 50 people showed up for the lunch. With the heat index reaching dangerously high levels, the city of Joplin announces it's opening cooling centers. Centers are open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Cooling centers are located at City Hall, the Joplin Health Department, the Public Safety Center, and the Joplin Athletics Center. They are decadent and flavorful, along with being the world's most expensive French fries, and that's according to the Guinness World Records. They're called the Crème de la Crème Pommes Frites, and they cost $200 for a plate at New York City's famous Serendipity 3 restaurant. The fries are not cooked in regular cooking oil, though. They're fried in pure goose fat. which according to the head chef offers an earthy, nutty flavor with complexity and depth. The cooked fries are then seasoned with truffle salt, truffle oil, and an extra shaving of black summer truffles on top. The dish is also topped off with a sprinkling of 23 carats of edible gold dust. What do you think, Michael?
Insert Stevie Nicks here, Gold Dust Woman. Good. I like curly fries, like spicy curly fries.
I bet they taste good. I hope they taste good.
Not paying $200 for a side of fries.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a heavy dose of the dust.
I don't think I want gold dust in my body. I don't know. What do you say? What says you? What say you, Tanya Bach?
I'd give it a try, but I would not buy.
Oh yeah, if somebody wanted to, buy a plate and they're like, Michael, have a fry, I'd be like, okay.
If I had that kind of
I'll
money,
try one.
You know what I would be doing with that money is putting a down payment on an island.
Who knew goose fat gave it an earthy taste?
Why is goose fat so
I don't know. I'm going to
expensive?
take that up with Howard. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Live look outside of Television City. It is a warm Tuesday morning, and it's going to be a hot Tuesday afternoon. 75 in Joplin, 76 in Chanute and Miami, 74 in Lamar and Monette. Skywatch Storm Tracker has remained on the clear side. We do have expansion of heat advisories compared to yesterday, minus 2 of our highlighted counties, and it's going to be hot no matter where you are. In between 2 and 4, hottest time of the day. Yesterday we peaked at 93. Today I bet we peak around 94, 95. And then when we get to the old 7-day forecast, you see some rain, just try to make its way. I think it's all going to really stay to the south. 7-day forecast. Go ahead and put an additional 8 to 10 degrees on each one of those panels that you see there, because that's what the humidity is going to do to us. Make it feel, about like 104 to 105 this afternoon.
There you go. Well, it's going to be hot, so just be prepared. That's all we have to say.
Yeah, and those, like I said, those heat advisories are supposed to expire on Thursday. They're going to get expanded into Friday and Saturday.
All right, just take care of yourself. Thanks, Michael. Well, coming up, the Delta variant creates COVID spikes all across the nation. We'll have the latest numbers up next. And this is the first year that the Olympics will have surfing. We'll have reactions from Team USA. The KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Moderna is aiming to extend its COVID vaccine trial to those under 12 to monitor for potentially rare side effects. The drug maker says they're currently talking with the FDA regarding a proposal, adding that they hope a package will receive authorization by the end of this year or early next year. The news comes after the New York Times said that Moderna and Pfizer were taking these steps at the urging of the FDA to broaden the size and scope of the trials in kids ages 5 to 11. A new study shows quitting smoking after a lung cancer diagnosis could slow down the disease in an early stage. According to research in the Annals of Internal Medicine, patients who quit are more likely to live longer without a cancer diagnosis, on average by a couple of years. Now listen to this number, 200,000 new COVID-19 cases every day. That's what a former CDC director says could happen in the U.S. within the next 6 weeks. And as Britt Conway reports, already nearly half of the country is seeing high transmission of this deadly virus.
Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. 3 COVID-19 vaccines are shot at ending the pandemic, but millions don't want them. Now we're averaging more than 50,000 new COVID-19 cases a day, up more than 60% over last week's 7-day average, and hospitalizations more than doubled over the last 3 weeks. Delta is doing damage around the country. Nearly 44% of counties have what the CDC considers to be high COVID-19 transmission. That means 100 or more cases per 100,000 people, or at least a 10% positivity rate in the past 7 days. It's just about every county in Missouri, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. In Arkansas, it's every county. Same with Florida, which had more COVID-19 deaths over the past week than any other state.
More than 90% of the patients who are being admitted to the hospital are unvaccinated.
They're desperate because they're gasping for air.
Unfortunately, we're having people that are very young with no preconditions, and they're getting pretty sick.
Healthcare workers are exhausted.
We kind of really haven't had a chance to recuperate and recover, and now we're right back into it. These patients are very difficult to take care of.
We have to adapt to a world with COVID in it. We have to adjust our expectations to this new reality.
It gets emotional. It's difficult to watch this day in and day out.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Highest rates of infection are in our own countries. For the latest on the COVID-19 numbers, you can head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Send it over to Michael for a look at your morning forecast.
Thank you, Tanya. You know, earlier I was making light of 7th and Rangeline as being so mundane on a Tuesday morning and not a whole lot of action. I glance over. My goodness, everybody got out and about. They got out and about quick. And it's a warm one. I bet those air conditioners already probably going in the car. Although that might be a nice ride to have your window down this morning, because I know by the afternoon and evening you're going to have the AC on. 75 degrees is where we stand. That humidity hovering around at 94%. We now have got several places up to 76 that have joined Chanute, including Miami and Grove. 75 in Carthage, 73 in Pittsburgh and Iola. That was our one lone community at 69, now back up to 70. So a very warm morning. Take off the sweeping radar, and I'm not going to hit the ground down there. We did pick up a couple raindrops here in our far southern counties. That was pre-sunrise, though. Well, rain trickled for 5 minutes and then it was done. Not a whole lot of action yet bubbling up in eastern Oklahoma nor western Arkansas. And one thing that does run through everybody is either a heat advisory that you can see just about all of our counties are a part of, or an excessive heat watch. That's that darker red that you see from Omaha to Minneapolis. And check this out, it runs from the Gulf Coast all the way up to the Canadian border. That's because the jet stream, the ridge of the jet stream, see where it tops out right there up in Canada. That means some dangerous heat for most of the Midwest, all the way down to the southeast and up into Big Sky country. We're going to top out around 94 later on this afternoon, and then 95, 96, 97 by the time we get to Friday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Got some breaking news coming out of the Tokyo Olympics as Olympic gymnast champion Simone Biles. She is out of the team finals. She is out of the team finals with an apparent injury. Biles exited the competition floor after her first vault this morning, and a team doctor led her back behind the scenes. Biles came back out with her leg wrapped in a brace, and so she will not be part of the team finals. Any other updates we get throughout the course of our show, make sure we pass those along to you. Surfing made its Olympic debut just a short time ago. Organizers moved the event up on Tuesday to get it in before a tropical storm hit. Now, despite the storm, despite the pandemic, fans and athletes are celebrating surfing's long journey from what could be considered an alternative sport to mainstream. Members of Team USA spoke with Will Ripley about what it's like to be a part of Olympic history.
About 90 minutes outside of Tokyo, the sleepy surf town of Ichinomiya. The vibe? Japanese, with a touch of California and a sprinkle of Hawaii. Carissa Moore studied Japanese in her hometown of Honolulu.
I really wanted to show my appreciation, so I was practicing all morning and I wrote a little speech down. I think that Japanese people are definitely ambassadors of the aloha spirit.
That aloha spirit, the coordination of mind and heart, Moore's mantra in life and sport. She has her own charitable foundation for the next generation of young female surfers. She's a 4-time World Surf League champion.
It's easy to get too far ahead of yourself when you think about how big it is.
Moore is one of 2 female surfers making Olympic history for Team USA.
I don't know, it's just really fun. You know, they have a lot of experience and it's fun to kind of soak that all in.
Caroline Marks from Florida is not even 20. She was surfing at 10.
And to be an Olympian at your age, how do you top this?
I mean, I don't know. I just love surfing so much and I enjoy it so much. Yeah, I have tons of goals and things I want to do, but right now I'm just trying to live in the moment and enjoy this.
While popular here in Japan, Chiba Prefecture is not exactly known as a global surfing destination. But this Summer Games cements its place in Olympic history.
International recognition for the sport, a long time coming, says the CEO of USA Surfing.
When I was in high school, surfing was a counterculture sport. I would, go to take a girl out and she'd tell her dad that I was a surfer. And it was like, oh my God.
Today, the biggest surfing stars can make millions. And the biggest name on Team USA, John Florence. World famous for his powerful barrel riding and aerial tricks tailor-made for the towering waves of his home state.
I grew up in Hawaii. We have a lot of power in the waves.
Japan's waves, relatively tame by comparison.
So in some ways it's harder when it's like this.
Yeah, for me I find it a lot harder in the smaller waves.
Florence and the team have been training intensively in this world-class wave pool. There were whispers of moving the Olympic competition to perfect swell Shizunami, but a typhoon in the region is serving up some even sweeter swell on the coast. A new wave of Olympic greatness on the black sands of Japan.
Oh, by the way, an hour and a half ago, Carissa Miles, who we just heard from at the very beginning of that story, she won a gold medal. So congratulations to her. Surfing one of 5 new additions to the Olympics this year, the sport having originally been approved in 2016. I do want to give you a women's team update. Right now, the United States sitting in second place. They do trail the Russian Olympic Committee right now by about 0.8 of a point. Jordan Childs replacing Simone Biles on the uneven bars. Biles not competing in the uneven bars after coming up with an apparent foot injury, now being called a foot injury on her first vault. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Barry Stevenson, who served 2 tours in Vietnam. The warrant officer received the Cross of Gallantry and the Army Commendation. Native of Granby, Missouri. We thank you, Warrant Officer Barry Stevenson, our four-state hero. Anyone who has worked in the medical field knows it can be tough, especially over the past year, as new doctors and nurses have entered the workforce during a global pandemic. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with Kansas City University Joplin students about why the need for medical professionals, especially in rural areas, is greater now than ever.
Second-year Kansas City University students at the Joplin campus are officially being recognized as future doctors at the university's white coat ceremony.
Today is the class of 2024. The reason we're doing this ceremony is when they procure their white coats, they represent moving into the clinical realm of taking care of people.
The coat represents the integrity, trust, esteem, and regard for the profession. And the university says these students are needed now more than ever.
The Joplin campus was opened with the hope of acquiring future healthcare providers for the region. We recognize that not only are there shortages of primary care physicians, but there's really a need for dentists as well.
According to the CDC, rural healthcare infrastructure is limited. Since 2005, 170 hospitals have closed and 700 more are currently at risk of closure. Many rural hospitals have a limited number of hospital beds, ICU beds, or ventilators, which can affect their ability to treat patients with COVID-19. Rural residents seeking care must often travel long distances to reach hospitals, healthcare facilities, and clinical specialists. It's why medical students like second-year Louisa Amarage want to pursue the career field.
Having to start school during a pandemic, I feel as student doctors, we are needed now more than ever.
She says her desire to help the public is inspired by her family's Nigerian roots.
Coming from Nigerian background, I've just heard a lot of horror stories about poor access to medicine and the effects. So it just really made me feel as though that I wanted to pursue medicine and be able to help underserved or underrepresented communities.
Not only did these students take a huge step by working to join the medical field, they decided to do so at the start of a global pandemic. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
162 students received their white coats yesterday. Congratulations to all of them. Well, another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, your gift cards could be going to waste.
There are about $15 billion in unused gift cards, vouchers, and credit floating around. I'm Anthony Purra with tips on how to keep that value from going to waste.
And a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills gets attacked by bees. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
4 States' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Breaking overnight, police in McDonald County arrest all 3 inmates who escaped from the McDonald County Detention Center on Saturday. Sheriff Robert Evenson says David Molina, Carmelo Burgos, and Shantavion Thomas were taken into custody in Knoll without any injuries. All 3 are held on violent offenses. 3 men already charged with murder in the shooting death of a Southwest Missouri man are now indicted in connection with a northeastern Oklahoma murder. Trey Ackerson, David Morris, and Lane Bronson are among 11 people now charged in connection with the kidnapping and death of Osage Nation resident Jolene Walker Campbell. Ackerson and Bronson are 2 of 4 suspects charged on Friday. Campbell's body was discovered in Mays County, Oklahoma in July of 2020. According to the indictment, the defendant suspected Campbell was a federal informant. Prosecutors in Barton County, Missouri had already charged Morris, Ackerson, and Bronson for the shooting death of Terry Harless in Lamar, Missouri. That murder also occurred in July of last year. Authorities were called to a home on the 700 block of Broadway in Lamar, Missouri for a report of shots fired. When they arrived, they found Harless's body. The 3 suspects are charged with second-degree murder in connection with Harless's death. Berry County, Missouri Health Department is closed until further notice. A post on the department's Facebook page says it's due to an increase in COVID-19 cases. The county says WIC recipients will receive a call from department officials to complete their appointments. People seeking all other services should contact neighboring health departments. And those who want a COVID-19 test should contact their doctor or a neighboring health department. Construction crews are busy working at the Joplin Regional Airport. Work started on Thursday to rebuild the airport's main runway. The $14.5 million project is 100% paid for through CARES Act funding. The airport has been closed during the work, but airport manager Steve Stockham says work is ahead of schedule.
As part of this, there's a section where the 2 runways out here at the airport intersect. And of course, during that, in order to rebuild the runway during that intersecting point, you have to close the airport down.
Missouri, the work is expected to be completed by next Monday. The Missouri State Department of Education releases new guidance ahead of the upcoming school year. Many of the recommendations mirror those put out by the CDC earlier this month. They include promoting vaccinations, requiring masks for unvaccinated students, and social distancing. Largely, local districts will have the final say, including on how policies differ between vaccinated and unvaccinated students.
We educate students all the way down to 3 years old, and from 3 to 12, there is not, or 3 to 11, there's not a vaccine available. We have that dynamic at the lower grades versus the upper grades where it's more about mask, no mask. We've got a few challenges still to work through.
Cummins hopes to have a plan finalized by August 9th so that after the board meeting on that day, parents can review the plan. Something they will have to address is the mandate from the CDC that everyone on school buses wear masks. What's the power of friendship on display at a pig auction on the Merrimack Community Fair in Sullivan, Missouri? Now this is 8-year-old Jesse Starr. Now Jesse is trying to get bidders to open up their wallets and buy his hog at the Merrimack County Fair. And there in the livestock auction barn with him is his best friend Claire Calvin. Their friendship was recently rocked with some heartbreaking news. Claire was diagnosed with diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, or DIPG. It's a brain tumor that starts in the brainstem, and there is no cure, which of course brings us back to the hog. Jesse raised it for a year and decided he was going to sell it and donate the profits to Claire. Now, a hog this size normally fetches about $1,600, but Jesse pulled in $19,000 between two donations.
Did I ever anticipate it going the way it did?
When it comes to kids or helping people out, this community is beyond gracious.
Jesse, it was never about the money, just his friendship with Claire.
That's amazing right there.
What a great story.
$19,000. My goodness.
That's going to help out immensely. I think they're 8.
My goodness, an 8-year-old able to pull that off. That's wonderful.
Impressive.
All right, for those of you that do not want to know about any Olympic updates, I'm telling you right now, what you need to know is it's going to be hot. There are heat advisories, and I understand if you don't want to know. There's your warning. Don't turn it off, just hit the mute button. And just watch. All right, there you go. De Niro dies at the end. Current conditions, 75 degrees in Joplin. It is sunny, it is hot. And when I say hot, you look at those, you go, no, Michael, that's comfortable. I understand that that's comfortable, but this is an indicator of what we're going to have this afternoon, as we've got heat advisories that encompass 99% of the 4 states and actually stretch all the way from the Gulf Coast up to the Canadian border. We're going to be sitting around 94 degrees this afternoon. It's going to feel about like 104 to 105. With that being said, Jordan Childs stepped in for the injured Simone Biles, nailed her uneven bars. That was followed up by a 15 by Suni Lee. This could be one of those stories that we talk about for a long time, folks. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. It's that morning cup of joe, maybe just what you need to help jumpstart your workday. Then maybe you think it helps sharpen your mind, but if you find yourself repeatedly headed over to the coffee pot for refills, you may actually be putting your brain at risk. A new study finds drinking 6 or more cups a day linked with an increase in dementia and also an increase in strokes. Our question for you, how many cups of coffee do you drink a day? Right now, 2 cups coming in as the leader at 28%. And look at this. Right behind that, 27% say, no worries, I don't even drink coffee. Tanya?
Hey, I was talking to you about those numbers earlier. I think as the morning progressive, more and more people are not drinking coffee.
That was a very good point.
Early this morning, you know, right after 5 a.m. when it's really early, we had the number one was 3 cups.
No, at one point in time it was 5 plus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because if you wake up at 4 a.m. you need 5
go and drink
cups
more
of coffee. I understand completely. Well, the future of space exploration is expanding, especially after Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic successfully launched their owners into space over the last month. Ty Brennan reports.
This month has seen 2 billionaires blast into space on board their own spaceships. This could open up the door for regular citizens to one day explore space.
This week in space was all about space tourism. It was all about this promise of making space more accessible to regular people.
Jim Bell's a professor at the School of Earth and Space Exploration at Arizona State University. He's also written a number of books, including The Ultimate Interplanetary Travel Guide. He says the future of space exploration is exciting.
It starts with a dream, right? You're never going to build a railroad across the country, right? You're never going to be able to talk to somebody in real time from New York to California. You're never going to be able to fly a metal box with wings, you know? It all starts with a dream like that. And the same thing is happening with access to space.
He says these billionaires are paving the way.
In the decades ahead, it's all going to get just more and more accessible to everybody. You know, tourism, we think about, hey, I'm going to go to Europe or I'm going to go to Hawaii or whatever. Hey, I'm going to go to the moon for the weekend. You know, I think that's coming.
While space tourism may be a reality, the prices are still out of this world. For a trip on Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, tickets are going for $250,000. Wow. While Bezos' Blue Origin has held an auction for tickets and has declined to say the price. We'll see how that goes. The Bitcoin bounce back continues. Cryptocurrency almost touched $40,000 on Monday after speculation Amazon would be getting into cryptocurrency sector. Retail giant recently posted a job opening for a digital currency and blockchain product lead, which prompted the speculation. Well, Amazon rejected any claims it would accept cryptocurrencies by the end of the year. It did say it was looking into how the company would work with crypto. Bitcoin eventually settled at around $37,000 by the end of the day. We'll be right back with more business headlines from around the nation next. Americans will spend an estimated $200 billion in gift cards this year, but as Anthony Pura reports, a big chunk of that money goes to waste.
Gift cards are one of the most popular gifts given. Valerie Guerrero likes receiving them, but admits it's not always a memorable experience. You seem to be one of those people that forget about them.
Sometimes I do. It's awful. Well, because I took them away and then it's like, out of sight, out of mind.
It's a common problem.
Yeah, I think I just forget about them.
I just always forget that I have it. So that's kind of the problem.
A new survey from Bankrate finds half of U.S. adults have unused gift cards, vouchers, or store credits. The average person is sitting on $116, and many times the money is never spent. Ted Rossman is with Bankrate.com.
Half of us have lost value at some point, either because we lost the card or it expired, or maybe the business went out of business before we had a chance to use it.
Experts say there's no reason to let the value of a gift card go to waste. There are plenty of websites that will offer cash for them. Raise, Card Cash, and Gift Cash allow you to sell the card and receive about 80 to 90% of the value. Another option, give the card to someone else, even if there's a small remainder left.
You can often add additional value to it. You might not give your brother, let's say, the $4.17 Home Depot card that you have lying around, but if you can round it up to $25 or $50.
Rossman says it's a good idea to use the cards and other credits quickly.
And now that you reminded me, I'm going to go home and really dig them up.
It's important to remember the cards only become a gift when you use them. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Pasadena, California.
Bankrate.com says almost 3/4 of people with unused gift cards, vouchers, or credits have been holding on to them for a year or more. I feel like I have a few of those too. Well, Facebook takes a pledge to increase diversity in the workplace. The social media company committed to a new diversity initiative, part of its Increasing Diversity and Innovation Conference. While the company saw a small decline in women working there over the last year, it did see an increase of women in tech roles. The company is also pledging to support underrepresented inventors, as well as lessons on unconscious bias and systemic inequity in regards to the patent process. Tesla reports super high profits even during a chip shortage. The company reported more than $1 billion in net profit for the first time ever in the second quarter. In the time frame, Tesla delivered more than 200,000 vehicles and earned more than 10 times the amount of last year's second quarter. In a company call, CEO Elon Musk said the company was successful, partially because they reworked some of the car's software to accept different computer chips. Tesla made the move after a global chip shortage affected dozens of large car manufacturers. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Within one day.
Reality TV star Kyle Richard gets chased by a bunch of bees in her Beverly Hills backyard. As CNN's Jenny Moose reports, the encounter was caught on a surveillance camera.
This is the story of how one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills became a desperate housewife and had to jump in the pool to escape bees. Kyle Richards ended up in the hospital because of her bee sting allergy. Usually, she seems allergic to her fellow housewives.
Yeah, you do not want to go there.
But where she went was her yard, where she says she walked into a beehive. Kyle later posted the security camera video of the bees chasing her on Instagram. My family wasn't home, and for whatever reason, the people that work for me couldn't hear me screaming for help. Plus, she couldn't get her EpiPen to work to block the allergic reaction. Throughout the reality show, she's talked about her fear of bees.
Ah, bee! Oh my God, there's a bee. I'm so sorry. There's a bee!
Is that a bee? And her co-stars have teased and imitated her.
Wait, is that a bee? Where's my EpiPen?
And now it's actually happened.
I was screaming, help me, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
She felt bees still in her hair, so she jumped in the pool. First responders answered her frantic calls, and off she went to the hospital, where she recovered quickly and, when she got out, was able to pose with her rescuers. The last celebrity to be publicly covered with bees tried to attract them. Angelina Jolie was posing for National Geographic on World Bee Day. They actually dabbed pheromones on her to lure the bees. Everyone else wore protective gear, but Angelina posed for 18 nearly motionless minutes without a sting. In reality, the tables were turned on the reality show housewife, who's normally the one who stings like a bee.
You are so sick. You are pathetic, okay?
Oh, when you have an allergy, it gets serious, that's for sure.
I couldn't watch it.
How about that Angelina Jolie shot? I'd forgot about that.
I couldn't watch that story. My palms are already over here sweating.
Michael loves bees.
It's actually wasps in particular, but I've carried it over. Had a traumatic incident with wasps when I was a young child, and I've carried it over to the point where if it has wings and a stinger, I am like Kyle when one appears.
Don't worry, I have the same fear with hairless tailed rodents.
Yes, exactly. You have trouble watching those stories.
Living ones.
Ugh.
If they're alive,
Give
me away.
Yeah, it's a. I think mine in particular is called sphexophobia.
Oh.
Fear of wasps. All right, live look on 7th and Range. I got to move off this story, folks. I'm dead serious about my palms sweating right now. 75 degrees is where we stand. It's muggy outside too. That humidity at 94%. You can feel it when you walk outside. 76 in Miami, good for a bike ride. 73 in Iola, and 74 right now in Monette. Carthage and Lamar sitting right there at 75. Everybody's very close together. We actually had a little pre-sunrise raindrops far to the south. Heat advisory in effect all the way into Thursday. Don't be surprised if that doesn't make it until Saturday. It's just going to be abnormally warm. Look at that. You got the heat advisories in the orange, the excessive heat warnings in the red up between Omaha and Minneapolis. So it stretches from the Gulf Coast all the way to the Canadian border. And with the jet stream right up there at the top of the border, severe thunderstorm risk map. We don't need to worry about anything severe. And anything that we do see pop up is just going to be 5 minutes of rain. You get those developing dark clouds in the afternoon when you get this hot. So here's future track and what we have in store. And like I said, it's nothing organized, and the majority of the 4 states, 95% of it's going to stay on the dry side. It's just making sure that we stay safe, especially during the afternoon hours, as we're going to creep up into the high 90s by the time we end the week. Speaking of ending, we're going to come back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. 4 police officers who tried to defend the U.S. Capitol during the deadly attack on January 6th will testify before a House committee today. The hearing will focus on security failures that allowed a mob to storm the building as the Senate was confirming results of the November election. Missouri's Attorney General is challenging the city of St. Louis's mask mandate in court. The new rule took effect Monday and requires everyone over the age of 5 to wear a mask on public transit and at indoor public venues, regardless of their vaccination status. The mandate comes as coronavirus cases surge across the U.S. A storm forces the Olympic Committee to move around some Olympic events. Heavy rains and wind delayed the women's triathlon on Tuesday. Japanese forecasters have tropical storm Nepart making landfall in the north of the country on Wednesday. Organizers had to move the schedule around for rowing and archery as well. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Let's not forget heat advisories for today because it's going to be dangerously hot. Not only does the sun going to put us up into the 90s, but the humidity a huge factor for today. It's already muggy outside, and by the time we get to the afternoon, we're looking at temperatures around 94, feeling about like 104 to 105.
All right, well, caught on cam, a meteor lights up the skies over Norway early on Sunday. Witnesses say a strong flash of light could be seen, with some describing it as looking like a plane of fire. Lasted just a few seconds and was followed by a small tremor felt on the ground. A hunt for the mysterious rock is now underway.
Thank goodness it obviously went down in the middle of nowhere. Hui, because if there's a tremor after that.
That's pretty cool.
My goodness. All right, thank you for joining us, and thanks for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Whoa, that was